everybody's here that was here last year about this time. I'm on time this year. It was a little bit late last time, but I'm delighted to see so many. I was surprised to see so many last year, having come up about an hour and a half late. The planes were running on time, and I got through TSA without hitting anybody. Even though I felt like it. No, but it is great to be here, and I'm always pleased to go to the campuses because if there's ever a place that needs to realize what's happening and organize and continue the revolution, it's on the college campuses. And as you all know, there was an election recently, and it looks like we may be getting some help in Washington, and there will be a few new people coming from Arizona, and I'm hopeful that will be beneficial. Now, if you're a true blue Republican, you might think that everything has been accomplished. Everything has been accomplished and all will be well. I happen not to be quite that optimistic. I think maybe things will slow up, but we still have a long way to go. And the Republican Party doesn't have all that great a reputation for solving problems. You know, I was energized and thought that you know, in 1980, when Ronald Reagan won, that things would change. Not much happened. Spending continued, the deficits continued. 1994, the Republicans took over the House, and I thought, wow, maybe they're serious this time. And that was one of the reasons I ran in 1996, thinking that the country was changing and the Republican Party would do better. Then in the year 2000, the Republicans got control of the House and the Senate and the presidency, something they had had for years. And I thought, wow, maybe this is the time that some good will come. But I think if you're realistic and just look back at those 8 years, the Republican Party didn't do that well. So Republicans are going to have to prove themselves. But the sentiment is different because the pressure isn't coming from the top part of the Republican Party. It's coming from the grassroots, from the Campaign for Liberty people and the Tea Party people. That's where the pressure is coming from. So we can be pleased with some of the changes. I don't believe government's going to change until the people change. And government generally reflects the values of the people. And the example of auditing the Fed, I think, tells us that when the people wake up and they demand something, they can get both Democrats and Republicans to respond. So I was very pleased with what happened there. Although we didn't have a total victory there, we had 320 co-sponsors in the House. That means a lot of Democrats sponsored the position, and all the Republicans did too. But it didn't come because I had a great deal of influence in Washington. It's because there are enough people like you who called your congressman and said, look, we want to know what the Fed's doing to us. We want to know where they're spending the money and who they're bailing out. And because of that, the Congress, came around to accepting that. So the grassroots efforts and the beliefs of the people make a difference. When that doesn't work anymore, and I know there are days you have to be very frustrated with it, that the Congress, it sounds like they aren't listening at all. But if the people are loud enough about it, they will. Just think of the improvement. We had something happen in Houston just this last week. Guess what? They turned off all the highway cameras, all the traffic cameras in Houston. And that came about by a referendum. So although there's room to have a lot of complaints with the Congress and the President and everything else, there's still a lot of pressure on the people. So if the people are complacent, if they're fat and lazy and think the government's going to take care of them cradle to grave, they're going to do it. And until the government and the country goes bankrupt, and we're there. And that is why we are going to have a much greater opportunity for others to look at our views, because you just can't continue to spend into prosperity. It doesn't work. There are people today that are looking at our history of the 1930s. I cannot believe this because it's such an immoral thought. It's such a horrible idea. It's so unconstitutional, and it's stinking economics. They said, you know what we need is a war to get us out of our recession. That's obscene.